About 10 days ago, October 30th, the judge did rule that both sides of the party of the lawsuit had agreed to go to arbitration, according to the EverQuest EULA. So basically, the public in court lawsuit is on pause while they handle things privately. Now, not to be confused, the injunction that took the server down is still in place, and the court can still manage anything tied to that order, but the core fight, one for the copyright and the DMCA claims, is for now leaving the public courtroom and heading into private process that could finally lead somewhere productive. If you remember from any of the previous videos, arbitration isn't necessarily bad news. In fact, it is probably the best case scenario for THJ to go in and negotiate something. Arbitration is going to be where they stop fighting in public and they start talking about solutions. Everything is going to happen behind closed doors, away from Reddit, press releases, and court drama, and this should leave more room to make a deal. So there is some history here. Some of the most stubborn gaming disputes have ended this way. Bethesda and Interplay fought for years over the Fallout trademark. It was an arbitration that led them to the deal, allowing Bethesda to keep Fallout 3 moving forward, while Interplay wrapped its MMO quietly. Another one, Epic Games and Silicon Knights settled their Unreal Engine fight in arbitration before it destroyed both studios. And even Nintendo and several emulator-related cases have quietly resolved once things went private. Not every one of these stories ended with a shutdown. Some became licensing deals or NDA-protected compromises that let projects live in new forms. The reason arbitration works is because it stops being about who's right and starts being about what can both sides live with. There's no judge writing opinions that become headlines. There's just negotiators looking for an outcome that saves time, money, and face.
You can't triple stamp a double stamp! You can't triple stamp a double stamp, Lord! You can't triple stamp a double stamp!
And as I said, for the hero's journey, this is the best possible ground to be on. This is where Daybreak can protect its IP without looking like it bulldozed its own community. And THJ's devs can talk about ideas instead of defending screenshots. So if this were ever going to lead to some type of limited license or a supervised revival, or some type of brand new project built the right way, it will start here in arbitration. So this is the first moment since the shutdown that could actually be considered progress. Additionally, there is a motion for reconsideration. This is an attempt to get the judge to revisit her earlier ruling. They're saying that she made mistakes, but they didn't bring in any new evidence. They just kind of argued that she misread what was already there, and I can tell you from my own personal experience that when you tell a judge they decided wrong, based on the facts that were presented to them and don't offer anything new, they're really not going to decide in your favor. They're not going to go, oh, I was wrong, let me just change that. But what I feel like they are doing is what needs to be done, where THJ is keeping their objections officially in the record. So if this were to ever go for appeal, appeals courts don't take in new evidence. So this kind of locks everything that they're saying, all their arguments and all their exhibits into place. So what they're arguing in the motion for reconsideration is that the judge went too far by shutting down the servers and ordering code deletion before any final ruling, that she relied on Reddit and YouTube comments to prove harm. She mentioned damage to Daybreak's reputation under a law she said she wasn't deciding yet. She assumed Daybreak regularly sends cease and desist letters, even though their own witness admitted that the last one came back from Sony in 2009. And they say Daybreak exaggerated THJ's size. Daybreak pointed to about 30,000 total signups. THJ's lawyers now say the project had around 1,500 players. This one gets me. Everybody's talked and heard about all this 30,000 player plus. I mean, I think online concurrently they had over 4,000 players at one point. I don't know where they're pulling the 5,900 active player, 5,900 player metric from, but that seems like they excluded like a ton of people. Maybe they took out alt counts. Maybe certain people didn't play for some period of time. I don't know. 5,900 is extremely low, and I don't even think that that's really believable. But again, I don't know what they're going to put forth to say we only had 5,900 players at this point. But even if every one of those things were true that in the motion for reconsideration, it doesn't change the main issue at all. There's still copyright and DMCA violations. So this motion isn't going to legalize the project again. It's really just about challenging how harsh the injunction was. So where things stand is the injunction stays in place, the lawsuit is paused while arbitration moves forward, and the motion for reconsideration is pending. And the court could still respond or handle new filings tied to the injunction. So yes, things are quiet, but they are not over. The focus has finally shifted to a place where something productive could happen. Now, Daybreak still holds the legal advantage, but arbitration gives THJ a seat at the table instead of another hammer to the head.
Pick up the hammer.
For the first time in months, this isn't just about who wins, it's about whether both sides decide it's worth salvaging something. So if they use arbitration in the right way, they could reach a deal that protects Daybreak's IP and still let the hero's journey or its spirit come back to life. If they don't, the injunction stands and nothing changes. So the server's quiet, the docket's slowed down, but the community is still there, still watching, still hoping. Now, arbitration does not guarantee a happy ending, but it's the first real path towards one. And for a project everyone wrote off as dead, this is the best news it's had all year. Thank you for watching, and I will continue to keep you updated on any information I receive on the THJ case.